A temporary identity will trap your calling. This is something that I have wrestled with for years at this point. I've been the type of person to get really inspired, get really motivated, and begin to set out and embark on different challenges, whether that be wanting to run a half marathon, wanting to start the 75 hard, wanting to do all these things that are quote unquote good for me. However, I never became the person that was able to sustain the results that I so desired for my life. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about was just a bit about my story and what it is that I'm currently learning in this season of my life, and that may pertain to you. So I'll start off like this. A couple years ago, back in 2024, or 2023 going into 2024, my fiance and I, or my now fiance and I, looked at each other and were like, you know what? This year we want to make a change. And it was right around Thanksgiving time. And we were like, man, we really don't want to just have to wait to the beginning of the new year to step into who it is that we really wanted to be. We wanted to be active. We wanted to consistently hit the gym. We wanted to do all these things that would contribute to the people that we wanted to be. And so shortly after Thanksgiving, we decided to take on the 75 hard. And man, it was an incredible time. Not maybe in the moment having to do 2 workouts a day, a gallon of water, all the things that the 75 hard enforces you to do. However, we were falling in love with who we were becoming as a result of the process, the result of going through the 75 hard. And over the course of what for me was 100 days, as in the first 30 days I failed, I didn't read my book, or I didn't read my 10 pages for that day. And then from there I decided, you know what, why don't I pick up the camera, take some people along the journey with me, and record my experience going through the 75 hard. And it was absolutely fantastic. I still to this day, 2 years later, find myself going back to those videos and reminiscing on where I was at in that phase of my life, what was going on, what I was thinking about, where I've ultimately ended up now as a result of everything that has transpired over the past couple of years. And this is all to be said that at the end of the challenge, I got, and my fiance as well, got in incredible shape. I mean, man, I was cut up. I was super fit. The miles that I was running, the weights that I was lifting, everything became so easy. And I fell in love with the way that I felt, the way that I showed up, and who I was in that season of my life. Now, what shortly transpired after would be what a lot of people would experience as well, if maybe you've struggled with something like this, like I have, or maybe you're not this kind of person. I don't know. But oftentimes, when we meet a goal or we get a result, it was never about the goal or the result to begin with. It was about who you were becoming as a result of the inputs that you were making to step into the fullness of who you were becoming. And so shortly after the challenge, I began putting on weight, began not exercising as consistently, began not doing the actions that were required for the person that I was in the challenge. And what it is that I wanted to talk about today is that temporary identity that I had took on was temporary. And it had a start, it had a middle, it had an end. And after that, my why, my identity was not transferred, or not just transferred, but it wasn't assimilated into a bigger why or a bigger reality into who that I was. And so if you found yourself getting caught in a cycle of maybe accomplishing a goal or starting something and finish it, I challenge you, as I have been challenged myself even this evening, examine your why. Examine who it is that you want to be, who it is that God has called you to be, and begin to work backwards. Because quite frankly, living a life in this loop of inconsistency and this lack of discipline all results from a lack of clarity, a lack of action, and a lack of purpose into where it is that you're headed, right? I don't have to convince you to eat, right? It is just what you do. It's not something that's questioned. When you encounter somebody that's incredibly fit, right? And I think this is a great example. So my fiance's little brother, he's not so little, he's absolutely jacked, probably sub 10% body fat, handstand push-ups, benches 350 at 160 body weight. He, for the last 4 years since I've known his sister, has not had sugar, has not ate anything unhealthy, has drinking a gallon of water every day, has not missed a workout session that he didn't or wasn't able to make for 4 years. And when I take a look at him, and everybody marvels at the results that he's generated over the past 4 years, I've gotten to see behind the curtain, the day-to-day, tracking every single calorie that he ate, drinking every single ounce of water, going to the gym when he was so sore he could barely go out of the gym. And the reason that he has sustained it, and the reason that he has continued to progress and to really take what it is that he started and ran with it, is because he was someone who not only was going to follow through with what it is that he said that he was, and his identity was rooted in who he was and the way that he showed up when it came to lifting and exercise in the gym. And I've really just gotten to see him go from from where he's at to where he has ultimately wanted to be, and continuing to push the envelope. It's not just something with a final destination, but someone that you become as a result of the pursuit. And I say all this to say, if you are someone like me that has consistently sought like challenges, like maybe it's an Ironman, maybe it's 75 hard, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Not that any of these things are bad, but why are you doing it? Because for me, I've found that if it wasn't for a challenge, if it wasn't for a result, then shortly after accomplishing said unsaid result, I'd quickly go back and result to who I was before. And really, I'm just making this video to speak to myself. And one day I'll come back and watch this and be like, man, how far have you come? But it's so frustrating knowing the potential that you have and not living up to it. I'm somebody that is very unsatisfied with the results that I've currently generated. Not that I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And maybe that sounds like absolutely ridiculous. I'm very grateful for the life that I live. I'm very grateful for the job that I have. I'm very grateful for every opportunity that has been presented to me, and the current seat that God has me in right now. Because even thinking back to 2 years ago, man, how grateful and how much I reminisce on those times, because so much has changed and so much has shifted. But all this to be said, I am someone that is unsatisfied, especially when I know that I can be doing so much more for the kingdom, for my family, for my fitness, for my finance, for my future business, for everything that it is that I aspire to be and do. I feel unsatisfied. And I fell in love with the pursuit, but it was tied to something so loose. And this is why I think people don't generate the results that they want in their life. And the reason I personally haven't generated the results that I've wanted in my life, because my why, or my pull, not my push, my pull hasn't been strong enough to sustain the winds, the chaos, the inevitable storms that life will throw at us. And I say all this to say that I challenge you, if you're watching this right when it comes out, a year from now, 10 years from now, examine what it is that you do and why do you do it. Because there's a reason why when people say fake it till you make it, it works. You begin acting in accordance to the identity that you take on. And if that's, hey, you know what? I am somebody that goes to the gym. And you decide that that's who you want to be, that's how you're going to show up, and you consistently go to the gym, go to the gym, go to the gym. Before you know it, you're going to be somebody that just goes to the gym no matter what. Whether they're sick, whether they're out of town, whether they're on vacation, whether they're this or that, there's not going to be something that is going to pull them from who it is that they say that they are, because we all act in accordance to what it is that we believe and what it is that we think. We have this part of the brain. It's called the reticular activating system, and its entire job is to go out and find evidence to back what it is that we believe. For example, and I currently work in a sales role where I talk about this all the time, and it's truly fascinating. But let's say in this example, you're in the car market and you're looking for a red truck, right? And you're on Zillow, you're on Facebook Marketplace, you're looking at all these different dealerships looking for red trucks, right? And over the course of the next couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, a couple of years, whoever, you begin to, when you go out in public, you begin to see, oh man, there's red trucks everywhere, right? Like I can't stop seeing these red trucks. And it's not that there was any more or less red trucks in the world. Is that now that your mind has its belief that I want this red truck, it's going to actively go out and find evidence to back what it is that it believes to be true. And the same as it is with your identity. When you begin to align your actions with who it is that you say that you want to be, that provides evidence to reinforce the belief. Because quite frankly, our thoughts lead to our emotions and our emotions lead to our actions. So when we think about how I've been showing up, how maybe you're showing up and operating from an action perspective, most people look at the action itself, right? Like, why do I start doing something? Why do I stop doing something, right? But it's never the action itself. The action is a byproduct. It is what you believe about yourself, the identity that you have that powers the action. And I say all this to say, and I'm speaking to myself here, get really crystal clear on your why in your faith, with your walk with the Lord, if that is what you believe. I profess, the name of Jesus. He's, the way, the truth, and the life. And even a few days ago, I saw a video of this guy who committed to pretending that God is real. And after 20 days, has this radical encounter and his whole life changed. And so maybe if you don't believe in Jesus, give him a try. I don't know. But in your faith, what does that look like in your family? How do you want to show up for your wife? How do you want to show up for your husband? How do you want to show up as a friend? How do you want to show up in your family? Like, what has God already entrusted you with that you could build an identity around of who you want to be and how you want to show up, and then begin to feed the actions to back that belief? So what does that look like in your faith, your family, your fitness, your finance, and whatever else that it is that you want to pursue excellence with? And if you're somebody that's ambitious, you're somebody like me that wants to max out every area and to really steward everything that God has given you, I invite you to try it, to see it. And one thing that I've learned, and this is something that I'm beginning to implement, is it doesn't have to look like this grand thing. You can always add more things. For example, I have gone full tilt where I said, I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. I am going to, work out. I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this all before 6 a.m. 2 days later, fell off. It was too much. It is so easy to overlook the small things for an extraordinary amount of time and how much impact that has, versus wanting to do everything and then accomplishing nothing. And that's something that's really humbled me. It's something that has really been trying to wrestle through and work with. That, man, Kobe became Kobe because he was a master at the fundamentals. So what do the fundamentals look like in the pillars of your life that you care about? And how can you show up with excellence to be faithful with, if it's 10 minutes of Bible reading, 10 minutes of Bible reading for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years? That's extraordinary. 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 And if you're watching this, you're probably somebody that is like that or is in the pursuit of that. And it doesn't always have to look extraordinary. It can be in the mundane. It can be in the basic. And man, all this to be said, when we get back to the beginning of what it is that we were talking about in this video and how your identity will trap your calling, knowing, and maybe you don't even know what God has called you to, but what can you do with what he's already given you that maybe he begins to reveal what it is that you are called to? Whether it's in all of these areas of your life, you already have natural gifts. God has already given something to you. Ask the people around you what it is that you're good at, and how can you steward that to the best of your ability. And I guarantee you, God will open doors. He'll make that known to you. And getting back to wrap things up here, your identity and what you believe about yourself is the most crucial thing that you can cultivate, period. Because out of the overflow of that will be everything that you go out to generate. Now, will there be doors that God opens that you wouldn't be able to? Absolutely. Are there things that are going to happen that you had no control over? Absolutely. And from what it is, the free will that we have, everything that we do, everything that comes from what it is that we generate, comes from what we believe about ourselves. So take inventory of your thoughts. Take inventory of the way that you speak and the intention behind what it is that you say. Are you speaking life? Are you speaking death? And the Bible verse says, there's power, and I believe, and this is butchered, absolutely butchered, but there's life and death on the power of the tongue. What are you speaking? You can steward your words. All that to be said. Reshape your identity into everything that it is that you want yourself to be. Great exercise to do this. Write 2 eulogies. Write a eulogy from the perspective of who you are right now and everything that you've done, if you had to be brutally honest with yourself. And then write a eulogy from everything that it is that you want to be. And then reverse engineer that. How does that man, woman show up? How are they pouring into their faith? How are they pouring into their family, their fitness, their finance, etc.? And what does that look like? Starting with 5 minutes of Bible reading, a 15-minute walk every day. Don't miss a day. And have some grace with yourself as well. I've also heard that, you know what? If you miss one day, that's fine. Just never miss 2. And so, man, yeah, that's all I got. Go be great.